I'm going to need help identifying anybody, but 20. So it's a
Well,
2 hour drive home.
pretty good that you got here this time.
Well, I'm in the car and I'm in Westchester, so hopefully I'll be home by the end of this call.
Okay.
Even that's fast.
2 hours is well, it's not horrible, but it's certainly not a
Okay, we're
not a
recording.
commute
So
I'd like to do every day.
the meeting has started, Scott. We're recording.
Very well, we'll call to order. Real quickly, any comments from last week's minutes or last month's minutes?
They looked fine.
That was good. By the way, do we have at least, so we have 3 commissioners, or is Peggy and Mike on also, or?
Yep,
Peggy,
Oh,
there.
great.
Where?
All right, so
we're all here.
we have a motion to accept.
I'll
Motion.
move. Second.
All
Second.
in favor? Aye.
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 Here we go. So that, thank you, Bernie. Appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead for anyone who's listening in. We have a conflict for our Westmount staff, and so we're going to let them do their reports first, and then we'll do the individual comments. So let's go ahead and get started with Amy.
Where is she?
She's on mute. Oh, let's see.
So, yeah, Amy, I know she had to step out because she was going to be helping
So Rick, why
somebody
doesn't
with
Rick
the
start
move
then?
in.
She's muted now.
But she's
Rick
not
should
there.
start then. Or Ann.
Yeah, I'll start. I usually just do the financials. So I sent the 3 sets of financials to everyone, and they're very similar to last month. We are on the expense side generally on budget, with very few exceptions to that, and on the income side we're generally on or over budget with our billing. Of course, the collections are always a struggle and continue to be a struggle, but they're not getting any worse. We'll put it that way. They are improving, but it is up and down every single month in terms of collections. So, and then cash balances for the 3 entities are also, remaining fairly constant. So we're not gaining, but we're not losing on the financial side. And so I always take that as a good thing, as long as we're not losing ground. So, aside from that, the only other financial considerations that I have to report are the quotes that I got for the truck, which I sent by separate email just a while ago. Carl Chevrolet responded to me. Bernie, thank you for the referral. And they sent 2 options. One is a purchase of a truck, and the other is the lease of a truck. The purchase price for new work truck is roughly $43,000. And depending on the amount of money down, they give us 3 scenarios: 5, 10, 15,000. You're looking anywhere from a little over $600 a month to a little over, I think it was $800 a month in payment over a 60-month term. Alternatively, there's a lease option that had different month terms, 39, 40 some odd, and 60, I believe it was, or maybe even 70-month lease term, and it was up in the 800 and change range for a monthly lease. So, after taking a look at that and then kind of going through online for new truck prices, various brands, I looked at Ford, looked at Toyota. I'm not sure how everyone feels about it, but my thinking is that we might be best off looking at purchasing a used truck as opposed to either purchasing or leasing a brand new truck. I'm guessing we could probably do it for about half the cost of the new truck, which is again $43,000, so probably in the $20,000 to 25,000 range at most, I would say, depending on mileage. And that might be the most economical and wisest way to acquire a truck. So
Yeah,
I put it out
agree with
there
that.
for the board to discuss and get your feedback.
Okay.
Is there a model you've identified that fits our needs? You know, that's doesn't have all the bells and whistles and the Ram Tough stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So the Chevy makes a Chevy Silverado in a I forget the term for it. It's a two-seater cab with an 8-foot bed. That's
Mhm.
a defined work truck. They actually call it the work truck. So that would be what I would suggest.
Okay.
And I know that there was huge distortions in the used car market. I've heard that those have basically come down a whole bunch. So is that your feeling that, again,
Yeah,
there's more stuff out there?
yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be the case. I think it's more normal now.
Does Carl have
Well,
any used trucks on site, or we didn't talk to him about that?
I only talked to him about what he had new. So I'll go back and ask him about used, and I'll also do an online search. But I'm sure they've got something used, or probably are going to get something used in the near future.
Steve, Ricky,
Leo's
if you
very-
want to look at Toyotas, I have a contact at Toyota, but speak to Carl first.
Okay.
And Leo has a thriving used car business too. So he can end up finding and brokering and, again, obviously he gets a little bit of an arbitrage on that, but he also gets good product and makes it happen. So that's always a plus.
You know,
Agreed.
for how I think we're going to be using this, we're not going to be taxing this truck. So it seems to me a used truck makes sense. If a difference $10,000 to $15,000 we can save.
Yeah, my guess is a used truck we'll get 10 years out of it, maybe 12. I mean, so why go for a new? We'll have other issues before we get that value back.
Yep.
Likely. Now of course we'll choose the lemon and we'll all regret this, but this is the best call we can do right now.
But we know where Leo lives.
That's it.
I think going back to him saying, we just aren't we can't look at affording a new one or a lease of a new, and we don't need a new. So, put him on the horn looking for one, because he'll be able to find them. And they're moving vehicles all over the country all the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll do that, and I think what I'll do is I'll ask him for that, and when and as he sends me stuff, I'll just send it out to the board via email, so we don't have to wait another month to kind of both look at and make a decision on this.
Great idea.
So why don't we just under slight formality, why don't I put forward a proposal here that we're authorizing Rick to go ahead and find and negotiate out a used truck purchase, which we will give final approval to via email once we've identified the exact truck. I don't know if we have to actually do this proposal, but does that make sense to everyone?
Makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed.
Now,
So why don't
are we looking at doing a cash deal, and do you want to do financing?
I think we probably want to actually finance right now. I mean, I assume that we've gotten our developer payments for Canaan Parish. And in that case, just with where interest rates are right now, actually, why don't I throw this back to Ann and Rick? I mean, is there any benefit for housing authority to lease versus own?
I mean, the one
Or to,
thing
or
that
to
I
borrow,
would just,
sorry, is to borrow or not. Sorry, go ahead.
I also would just be cognizant of the insurance requirements may be a little bit different for a lease versus an ownership. But just
And I
another
get
thing
my-
to
sorry.
think about.
My guess is that the lease for the used would be more difficult to set up. So either it would be a loan or
Yeah.
I assume that we'll probably have money sitting in an account for, and again, look, a deal may come up tomorrow and that'll change everything, but we'd have money sitting in the account. And so why not go ahead and save 8% interest on essentially a relatively, it's obviously significant money, but it's not end of the world money. I'd say we end up saving the interest rates. That's my gut. Does anyone else feel differently, or?
I mean, I think we can, and I think, you know, if we can talk Chris into it, we can talk the Canaan Parish Board into it. We have cash, and then housing authority can pay Canaan Parish back.
Yep.
If need be. I mean, does that make sense, Rick?
Yeah, it does. I mean, let's assume, you know, you're talking about we'll call it a $25,000 purchase. You're talking about 12.5 each. Both have the cash available to make that happen. So my recommendation would be to pay cash and avoid the interest expense.
Yep. All right, so the proposal on the table, authorize Rick to identify the specific used truck that he's going to propose to us, and we're going to pay cash for it, and we'll go ahead and do a final authorization via email. Do I have a second under that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Rick, for pursuing that.
Sure. And then the other thing I have to report is we got 3 quotes for asphalt repair. And
Yep.
we got 2 at roughly 28 grand and 1 at at about 20 grand. So what I'm going to do is review the scope with the $20,000 proposal, and once I verify the scope is what we're looking for, meaning, for example, one of them was a mill and overlay as opposed to a removal and replace. And we don't want to do a mill and overlay. We definitely want to do cut out the bad section and replace. So I just want to verify that scope with the lowest price.
Rick, I have a question. I assume that these contractors visited the property and saw the damage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We'll do a scope review, and then I'll also email the results of those out to everybody so you can take a look at that. And that's, if you want to do the same type of authorization, we can, or we can talk about that at the next meeting, because that paving season is just ramping up now.
Yeah, I think we should allow Rick to make that decision after he looks at the proposals.
So let's go ahead and let's authorize that. So should we put a proposal on the table to authorize Rick to spend up to $30,000 on paving repair?
I move that we do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Great.
Rick, you have the insurance and all the stuff on these folks, right?
Yeah,
Well,
we'll get all that.
All
We'll get
vetted.
the liability, the workers' comp, we'll get all that, yeah.
Good.
And then the last quote that I would like to have a approval for is actually for some new doors, the exterior doors to particularly building 59, the north and south doors. They're not always, that's something that tenants have in the past reported as if somebody doesn't go behind them and push them shut, and it's more than just a hinge issue, we would need to get those 2 replaced. And then there's a proposal to rehang building 35 south, rehang that door to fully surface hinges and reusing as much hardware as we can. So there's this proposal to do those 2 doors and rehang another door, and the proposed price without tax is $5,965
For all 3?
And
for all 3, and the removal of the doors that don't work, the disposal of the old doors.
And real quick there, those doors, are they rotted or failing, or is it?
Yes.
What seems the issue?
So 2-prong issue. I think something happened down the road pre us, where they're just not lining up properly. And tenants were putting things in the door so it wouldn't latch behind them, and it made the whole door fail over
Yep.
time. So we've had a lot of tenants that have called us over the last while. We've tried to reset, retweak it, redo everything, and we're not able to continue to fix the Band-Aids.
So the two
So,
that
I
are
mean, the
being
one-
replaced, does that include the frame?
It says furnish and install thick insulated hollow metal doors as follows. I can send this all to you guys so you can review it. New doors to be hung on new full surface hinges and new door bottom sweeps installed. Existing closer, cylindrical door prep, exposed glass. Amy, you might be able to speak a little bit more to the building 59 and how they're not working well. You're muted. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, what's happening, like you said, it depends on the weather also because it contracts and
Expands.
Well,
weathers,
fans, yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't line up with the walling as it closes, so it's over, and then the hinges, it starts pulling away from the wall, the door, so it's never closing properly, and then that's what the problem winds up being. So it's where the hinge is at, it's coming undone because of the usage, and then it's not sitting properly to close properly, so you have to actually pull the door or close the door, and
Close
you have
and
to
lock
push it.
it.
Yeah, that's what's happening there.
Is that gonna, I mean, Scott, you know probably better than anybody, is that gonna solve the problem, or do you need to get new doors and frames as well for those two? Are the frames
Well-
still intact?
The frame is good. The frame is good. It's the matter of getting the doors resized so that even if they were to contract and
Expand
however
and
they do
contract.
expand and contract, it would be, if they get the down to the right sizing, it would be better than that way.
Okay.
Well, all right, well, we probably need to go ahead and authorize that, but let me see if I just have one of my skilled carpenters available in the next 2 or 3 days just to come and take a quick peek.
Yeah,
Just because it's always hanging of doors is one of those real tricky skills, and I'm not sure as to how good of carpentry are our guys.
I think they're great, but I will always welcome other people with additional skill
Yep.
sets.
All right, let me see if I have somebody available. I mean, I think ultimately it's likely this is the right answer, but Peggy does have another good question as to, do we need to hit the jams, or is there something a little bit different or off there? So let me I'll check in and see what I got over the next couple of days, but I don't think that we should wait all that
And I'll
long, because
send the
obviously door security
proposal.
is huge.
I'll send the proposal along to everybody as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing I have is we had discussed coming up with a capital improvement schedule. And so as I thought about that, I think the wisest way for us to do that is to engage a capital needs assessment by a third-party firm. So you have an official and complete 20-year capital needs assessment to inform the housing authority on the overall asset. And so I haven't got pricing on that yet, but that's something I've requested, so we can review that at next month's meeting.
Does it make
Great
sense
idea.
if they're out there, and do we get a discount if he does 2 properties, if he does Canaan Parish as well? And right now, we're in pretty good shape with Canaan Parish, but 20 years is a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could. I think it's a little premature to do Canaan Parish. I think you could wait a little while for that, because
Okay.
they're not going to give you much if any of a discount. It's just all based on time.
Okay.
And that might be, and just thinking of it, if not that Westmount ever has much free time, but if you ever do end up with one of those weird periods and an off time, if Westmount can put together some parts of this, that might be helpful too. Because I mean, I think you guys will probably know the property well, and
Yeah, and we talked about that initially, and as I
Yep.
thought about it, I think that as a housing authority, I think it would be wise for you to have a professional
point.
and official capital needs assessment as opposed to our kind of
Yep.
unofficial version.
Yep, and then it's a good point, and let's do the hard math and let's get it ready, and we'll leave this to our successors. So that's a good idea.
All right, that's all I have.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Rick.
Rick.
Welcome.
Yep. Thank you, Rick.
Sure.
Thank you.
Did
Um,
Amy have anything to add, or is she back, or she's doing the move in?
No, I'm back.
Amy.
I'm here.
Super.
Okay, so right now I have the 2 vacant units. The one where, the RAD unit, where we have an applicant for. So we're gonna move forward with that. I'm waiting on some paperwork actually, so it's not finalized. I didn't get to put that on there. I just got the person. So we're working with that to see if they actually do qualify. Then 413 is moving in tonight. So, she should be here around 6:30, she said. But, yeah, so that's that. Regular AR summary reports as Rick already said.
Hey,
we're-
Amy,
Yes.
excuse me. Is it a coincidence that the person moving in has the same last name as somebody we evicted?
No, that's a common name in this area.
Okay,
Yeah, I did. I even asked.
all right.
When I interview people, I ask questions. Oh, by the way, are you related to? And
You're
they're
much
like,
better
oh.
at this than I would be, so.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, and it was like, and then it was weird because I have quite a few different applicants by that name, and they're all over like Stanford and Norwalk too. So
Okay.
it's a common thing, I guess, in this area. Yeah, that's like my last name, Hernandez. There's a lot of us, and I'm not even related to most of them. So, well, with the AR, he already explained the AR summary report with that. We changed the quarterly extermination because of Super K is on site. So the gunner and Geo to be with him while they were doing the electrical connection. I thought it was a gas connection, but I guess it has all to do with the same. They have to get the electrical up so that then they could do the connection with the gas, but they were only able to do one building today. I had it posted for all 4 buildings according to what they told me, and now it's a building a day that they're supposed to be doing. I wasn't aware of this. So right now they only did 61 as of today with that part. So we changed the extermination for the high-rise buildings to next week, the 9th. We changed it because we didn't know how that was going to work, because we would have to walk with them throughout the buildings, and we didn't want it to interrupt anything with the lighting and the gas being cut off throughout the day. So we're doing that on the 9th, and then the 3rd is still going on for the mills. Mills will have the 3rd. They're posted today. And then there's sprinkler systems inspection will be back out in July, the normal stuff. And then for the number and striping in-house, we were trying to wait to do, because some of the areas where we have to do the numbers is part of where they have to repair also. So we pushed that until we know what was going on also with this situation here. But though I told him to work around it if he can, and work with the ones that he can actually number. Filter changes will happen again at the end of the last week of May. I think we have enough filters. I will gonna double check that though. And we completed all the apartment inspections, so we will be commencing repairs as needed and be ordering supplies accordingly. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done in some of these places. Also, we're doing research. Everybody's put into place. Pretty much everybody's up to date now for 2023. We're done with that. We're into 2024 fully. The generator, we thought like the gas would be off, and instead it was the electric and the gas, but I got the short end of the stick on that thought. So I'm gonna just follow up with that too. Aqualon is due out for seasonal hookup and servicing for the spring seasonal now, and they're supposed to be coming up, but I also received the notice that we're only allowed to do for New Canaan, the water is only allowed to be on for Saturdays and Tuesday to do sprinkling of the lawns. They already sent that out. And then we are back with Love My Home landscaping. They're on property today. They started the other day and they're on property today, and they'll be here for the rest of the week, I believe, to finish up, to bring it up to speed with getting rid of the weeds and stuff. We got the cracks. We got the 3 proposals now for that. The gutters, he's gonna wait a minute to do that. And then we'll be having, hopefully the recertification specialist admin starting on May 20th with 20 hours a week here at Millport and 20 hours at Canaan Parish.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So we hired a woman to do the halftime at each property, 20 hours, 20 hours. And her name is Myra. She'll be starting on May 20th. And Myra is actually a veteran of Canaan Parish. She worked for Phoenix in the old days at Canaan Parish. So we're bringing her back to the mix. So hopefully that will work out.
Great. All right. Any questions for Amy or for Amy or for Rick? Very well. Thank you guys very much.
Well,
we'll let you jump.
I do have a question for the bug people coming to Mill Apartments. Is that'll be Friday for all of them?
Yeah, for all mills, only mills.
Okay, and at what time? Do you know?
They're gonna be here from 9 to 4. I don't know where they're starting. I don't know where they'll end. You already know how that works.
Yep. Beginning or end. Okay, just thought of anything different, but Friday's good. Thank you.
I just have a quick question for Amy. I'm sorry, Amy. Amy, do you have, are the Eversource people coming tomorrow too, or how is that working?
Yeah, I am not sure. They didn't give me, see, I'm not on that specific project and they don't inform me properly. So unfortunately, I'm getting things at the last minute. That's why the buildings were posted as they were, because it's outside vendor dealing with Eversource and the electrical. So therefore, I'm not sure of it all. I'm posting what I'm being told and informing by posting the buildings. That is all I'm doing at this point with that. But this has to do with getting the generators up and going. So as once I do know something, I let you, I try to inform everybody right away.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Amy.
All right. So Amy and Rick, thank you guys very much. We'll hold Ann for just until we get to executive session for a minute. So why don't we go to tenant comments? Again, we ask you to please keep them to about 2 minutes or so. I can't see any of the list. So
yeah,
Bernie,
Cindy was here first.
Oh, all right. I just have a quick question. Maybe Ann can answer since I know Amy's doing a move-in. What I need is I applied for this Lifeline benefit, and I just need like a piece of paper with the housing authority's letterhead, if that exists, with just my name, and just say that I am, I'm under the, I received federal public housing assistance and the date, from when to when, like my lease renewed December 1st, 2023 to 11/30/2024. That's it. I just need some sort of letterhead.
Can't do it on, I don't know if I could do it on the housing authority, but we can do it as management agents as part of Westmount. So I can do something like that.
Oh, I would so appreciate it.
Sure, Cindy.
Oh,
and
so much.
And if you need to, I mean, our letterhead is literally done right on a Word with just, Housing Authority New Canaan and 57 Millport. So if you ever want to create that, please feel free, and you can sign as a manager on that too, if that's more beneficial in any circumstance.
I've used it in the past to notify people about the gas installation. So you can use that or use Westmount. That'll serve the purpose.
Yeah, Westmount makes the most sense. We're agents for you guys. So.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Thank you. I really would appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Wendy is next.
Hi. Thank you. I just want, because I know in the past, like last year or the year before, someone commented on the leaf blower of the landscapers, which is a mobile, very high-powered machine. So it does the trick, but it is also, I think, damaging the buildings, as I've noticed on my building and on building 5, a plate that covers an electric outlet at the front of the buildings have been blown off. And 2 years ago, I found a bit of it in the parking lot. I replaced it and put duct tape on it and stuck it back on. And last year it blew off. And we took so much time power washing the buildings, and last year, power washing. And so like the buildings in Mill are just covered in dirt. And I just think it's from this super high powered machine. I mean, if they didn't use it constantly, in some of the far off areas, it would probably be good. But I think blowing dirt directly at the buildings and at the cars, and it's just not good. They somehow need to be, something needs to not be that strong. And
I actually put a sign on my porch asking them not to blow off my porch because that is so high powered, it blows the dirt right into my apartment, if you can believe it. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And it is right into the apartment. I have to clean it off the windowsill. So I asked them not to blow off my porch, that I would sweep it.
So, Ann, I think that's probably worthwhile to have our guys go ahead and sort of help to try to work a little bit with the landscapers because I feel serious tools that, some use and they don't necessarily understand what can happen. But maybe if our guys can help to just sort of monitor that, sort of ask them to turn down a little bit. And I'd much rather have a leaf or two up against the foundation than plastering it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense what they're doing. They have handheld ones coming on either direction, and the big one blows it down the parking lot. But in the meantime, it's hitting the cars, hitting the buildings, and also last year because Bernie had been asking for having the storm drains cleaned, and whatever happens just ends up in just. The one I'm mentioning is the one that's in front of my apartment. I haven't looked at the others, but filling it full of stuff again.
Oh, Wendy, I think you've got a good point, and we'll follow up with Westmount and see again about helping to monitor and improve this and sort of come to some help the guys come to terms that we're not sandblasting cars and destroying the property and that stuff. And it's a good thing to monitor and watch. Thank you.
Thank you. So, and my usual thing with Peggy, whatever happened, the sign seems to be lit. The lights are focused on the signs, and with the first mowing, they didn't move them around too much because they had to do weed whacking around them. So it made it through Saturday. So Scott's idea of telling the like Gunner and Geo or something, but the landscapers came on Saturday, so there was no one here. But yeah, it would be great if they could just use that big machine in a smaller, not full blast. If they could hand do that down the parking lot, I'm sure there's some places where it's useful, but way too much.
Yep.
And making the buildings filthy and I had a neighbor today, or two neighbors said they had trouble with asthma and stuff like that, and one person said on Saturday she blew her nose because it's allergy season, and she had blood in her nose. So, with Cindy saying her apartment gets dirty.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. That's the report.
Thank you, Wendy.
An email has been sent to the landscaper already, so I'm hoping that will help and address that.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it for me.
Okay. Bernie, do we have the next?
Thank you very much.
No, that's it.
What about Alec Catiero?
Alec is, he works out of the
He works
regional
in
office.
Westmount.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we wanted to have him be a part of the meeting. So I was going to introduce him to the board. So Alec works in the Westmount Regional Office with Rick and I, and has been taking a larger role with the oversight of the New Canaan and the southwestern properties for Westmount Management. So
Great.
Pleasure to meet all of you.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Alec. Or
So
Yeah, I
he's
was
been
lucky
like
to meet him when he came on board, when Vic introduced me.
yeah, so he's been a man behind the curtains, and we're sort of saying, hey, look, here's the wizard.
Well, now
Welcome.
you're on stage, so say hello.
Yeah. No pressure.
Hey, how you doing?
so it's not Amy doing all the work.
Oh no, Amy still does.
Yeah.
She does all
I've
that.
actually been helping a lot more
Oversight.
at Canaan,
We're-
over at Canaan Parish rather than at Millport. I've been helping here and there at Millport, but it's mostly Canaan Parish right now. But yeah, I mean, I've been helping around really everywhere for Westmount, between all the properties that Rick and Ann manage or own. So I've been doing that for actually almost a year now full time, and I did it for a year part time before. So it's almost been 2 years that I've been with Westmount. So I've been enjoying it so far.
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's
anybody
see.
that says that they enjoy it and it's in property management, you hold on to that unicorn as tight as you can.
Yeah.
Great. Is there anything else for public discussion, or should we go to executive?
I've moved that we go to executive.
Second.
All right. So,
Yeah. Yeah, glad to hear that
All in
Amy's
favor?
gonna get some help.
all right. Thank you,
Aye.
Cindy.
So
Thank you,
happy to
Wendy.
hear that Amy's gonna get that help. Amy really needs
Okay.
help, and we're so glad to hear that she's gonna get help.
Thank you, Good.
guys.
All right.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Good
Take
night,
you.
care.
ladies.
Thanks so much.
Okay, let me shut the recording.